Okay, thank you, Gabrielle. Let me show my screen.
Okay, we are seeing your screen now, Doyle.
Okay. So as Gabrielle mentioned, my name is Doyle Detro. I'm an enterprise account executive with Verisoft Design. We're a Microsoft ISV. We are the developers of a product called TAG, which is short for the Asset Guardian. It is a comprehensive enterprise asset management application that has a robust CMMS for maintenance running on the Microsoft platform. So obviously it is designed to integrate with Microsoft ERP applications.
Doyle, sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
We are seeing, okay, we
Yep.
are seeing now change the presentation. Sorry,
Okay.
just to be sure that it's correct. Okay,
yep.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yep, so we're just, we're a vendor for that. So we live and eat, breathe maintenance and work in the maintenance world. We work in obviously many different industries. But obviously one of them is fleet and fleet management. So we're just going to talk at a high level about fleet maintenance and management today, and then talk about some of the tools that are available, technology tools that are available to help companies with fleet maintenance. Gabrielle went through the agenda, so I won't repeat that here. We'll just get started just talking about the importance of preventative maintenance for fleets. Obviously, it's if you're operating a large fleet, it's incredibly valuable to your company. Doing preventative maintenance is critical. You've got regulatory requirements to worry about. You've got the safety of your employees, the people operating these vehicles. The cost savings that you get from having efficient and proactive preventative maintenance. And then obviously what sometimes the most important is just pure fleet uptime. Working to avoid, costly breakdowns that can render portions of your fleet inoperable. Understanding preventative maintenance. Some of you might be familiar with preventative maintenance, but obviously what it is planning maintenance to keep assets working all the time, and ultimately to reduce the cost of maintaining those lowering the cost of maintaining your fleet. So preventative maintenance works in multiple ways. You can schedule maintenance for your assets, for your trucks. Those can be as simple as date-based maintenance, where you schedule an inspection twice a week. But really, in the truck fleet, we want to be more sophisticated than that, and so that's why it's important to understand that you can do meter-based preventative maintenance, and you can do condition-based preventative maintenance. So a simple example of meter-based preventative maintenance would be knowing the kilometers that have been recorded on a truck, knowing engine run times, and then conditions that can be monitored. You can monitor things like oil levels, fuel levels, tires, especially with modern fleets today that come with sensors, inbuilt sensors and onboard computers. A lot of information is available in trucks today. And what preventative maintenance is let's use all of that data and all of that information to optimize our maintenance schedules. So to do preventative maintenance effectively, you have to be able to take stock of your entire fleet. So you need to have ideally digital records of your entire fleet. You need to understand your trucks and the details of every truck, the make and the model, the year, the VIN numbers. But also, you need to have your truck components. You want to keep track of your trailers, different types of trailers that you're using in different types of industries. You've got all different types of trailers that might be used. And also you want to have available to you your maintenance history for all of your trucks. Tools that are available for keeping track, for having a solid asset database. So like in our system, we've got the truck database and equipment database that allows you to keep track of at the first level all of your fleets. And then you can have unlimited hierarchy of your fleet. So underneath a truck, you can drill down on it and you can see the engine. And then underneath the engine, you can have all of the components of your engine. You can attach trailers to your trucks. You can transfer trucks to different home locations, for example. You could also keep track of trucks that do not belong to you. So in some cases, we've got companies that own fleets, but they also may do work or maintain fleets from third parties. The ability to transfer components is very important. So you might transfer a trailer from one cab to another. It's important to know that the maintenance history will travel with those individual components. Same thing with an engine. You might replace an engine on a truck. You don't lose the maintenance history to that engine. You've got the ability to keep track of unlimited attachments associated with trucks. So you'll have all of the manufacturer's documentation loaded up in the system, ideally. And we've also got the ability to integrate with manufacturer systems in some cases, or industry systems in some cases. So a manufacturer may update information about a particular truck, or they might do a recall on a part. We've got the ability to integrate with certain key manufacturers in the trucking industry to get that information brought into the system automatically, so you're always up to date on critical information about your fleet. And again, just to remind everyone, feel free to ask any questions as I'm going through. You can raise your hand. Gabriel will let me know, and we'll answer any questions. If anybody's got something specific they want to talk about, I'm more than happy to do that. So once you've got a solid database of your fleet, you want to be able to plan a schedule for each vehicle. Maintenance schedules will likely differ by the different types of trucks that you have and how they are used. So metrics such as engine hours, fuel levels, mileage can be used to help you predict when a truck needs to be serviced. So it's really important that you're collecting this data as frequently as possible. You can also do what we like to do in the world of fleet, is opportunistic maintenance. So if we can keep track of a truck's the routes that they're going to go through, and we've got their GPS data, you might be able to plan maintenance proactively based on where that truck is. So if you know that it's got downtime, planned downtime between a trip, and they're close to a service center, you can go ahead and expedite a service that maybe was planned within the coming 2 or 3 days. Or maybe there was a planned service at 10,000 miles and the truck is at 9,800. You can set up, our system has tools that enable you to set parameters for when maintenance can be done to take advantage of what we call opportunistic maintenance. So instead of pulling that truck out exactly when it's due for maintenance, which might cause it to not be available for a route, we can set up thresholds to make sure maintenance is performed within certain windows, and we're taking advantage of when that truck was going to be not being used at that moment regardless. So important tools that we have available in our system, for example, is the ability to integrate to onboard computers for collecting data from trucks, the metrics like engine hours, fuel levels, the mileage, GPS, and then GPS information. So knowing where your trucks are at all times. A lot of companies operating fleets have that information. They have the GPS information. They've got routing software. They know what their trucks are doing, but maybe not necessarily integrated with their maintenance. So we also like to collect that information, have that information available to us for the maintenance planning so that we can set off alerts or alarms to say, hey, you can take advantage of a maintenance opportunity with this truck in this moment, as we've got it here next to one of our service stations. Our software has the ability to obviously set up preventative maintenance schedules based on dates or based on meters, various meters, and you can overlap both. So you can use date schedules as a backstop to meter scheduling. So for example, we want to do a full overhaul of a vehicle, let's say once every 3 years. Or a certain number of miles or engine hours, but regardless of how many miles or engine hours have been used on that truck, we want 3 years. We cannot let it go beyond 3 years. So you can actually set up very sophisticated maintenance schedules and let dates be a backstop. So we can say, use the meter or use the date, and we can say, okay, this truck is now due regardless for a complete overhaul. Another big component of truck fleet maintenance is inspections. So pre-trip inspections. In the commercial world, the truck drivers need to get on board, and before they can actually travel, they need to fill out an inspection form. This is done throughout the world, largely on paper in most cases. Our goal is to digitize that. So we have functionality that allows you to build your own inspection forms. It's functionality where you can sort of design your inspection forms, import them into our system as PDFs, and then automatically convert that into a digital form. That data is then saved. The form is saved in the format that it is. It can always be available via PDF. But we also collect all of that data from that inspection form and keep a history of it in our system. So this allows drivers to do their pre-trip inspections on a mobile device. And then you've got that saved forever. It can be printed as paper, but also you've got it digitized. So that way you're not ever losing this inspection information. You can also set up workflows in a system to prevent anything further from happening. So we've got customers that have gone as sophisticated as not even allowing a truck to move until, for example, these inspections have been completed. So we can get the digital completion done in our system, communicate that to a truck's onboard system, which then releases that vehicle for its trip. Our functionality here is very comprehensive and allows customers to be quite flexible in how they set up forms and make forms available for drivers. And this leads into the importance of documentation of your preventative maintenance. This is largely true, I think, all over the world. And in the United States, truck drivers are required to have 1 year of maintenance history on board. And again, as I mentioned before, that's often paper. Paper documents get lost. Digital documentation doesn't get lost, and it can be easily available on a mobile device. So if you've got state government truck inspections happening, we want to make sure those drivers have all of the up-to-date information about their truck available at all times. This can obviously can help reduce the number of state or regulatory inspections that take place. Often if you've got up-to-date paperwork and you show it to somebody, they're going to just wave you through for like a checkpoint, for example. If you don't have good documentation, you can get stuck and going through kind of a government inspection of a truck, and sometimes there's fees associated with that. So our solution allows drivers to have this information available on mobile devices, and it allows them to have it even when they're not connected to the internet. So we have the ability to synchronize data, and even if they're offline, all this information about their vehicle, their truck, and even maintenance people that are working in remote service locations and may lose connection to the internet will still have all the relevant data that they need on mobile devices, and they'll resynchronize when they get connected back to the internet. But again, one of the goals of our solution is to provide customers with the absolute best possible experience they can have for keeping good documentation of maintenance. So talking about maintenance checklists, in our system, we call them work procedures. So you're going to build out maintenance policies, and you're going to create templates for maintenance policies. And then attached to those maintenance policy templates, you're going to have work procedures. Those work procedures will differ based on the type of truck that's being serviced. It can also differ based on potentially the climate that you're in, or there can be differences for seasonal changes in the weather. So I know in North America, that's a big deal. You'll have often different procedures, slightly different procedures in the winter versus what you might have when the weather is hot. Our system manages those types of things automatically. We also integrate with some industry standard databases. So if you don't have good maintenance procedures to put together as a company, we can help you with those and integrate to systems that automatically provide those. So when you're coming in for a maintenance checkup, everything that the technicians need to do is all set up for them on a computer or on a mobile device, all the work steps that they need to go through, also the skills and qualifications that the maintenance people need to have. So, we've got the ability to look at the work that needs to be performed, the priority of it, the criticality of it, and the ability to look at service centers, the technicians that are available to perform maintenance and what their skills are, and also the ability to track outside service providers and track the work that outside service providers do. And outside service providers can access the system directly, or their information can be submitted and then put into the system so that you keep all of your maintenance history, whether it's done by you or whether it's done by third parties. And the system has the ability to not just manage the maintenance tasks that need to be performed, but also inspection tasks that need to be performed and required conditions that need to be monitored. So, for example, not allowing a work order to be completed until like tire treads are checked and measured, for example, and a result is entered. And if a result is entered that doesn't make sense, we've got the ability to put in thresholds that say, oh, that's incorrect. You've entered a wrong result. It can't possibly be that number. You've got the ability to put all those types of controls in place. In addition to those standard procedures that we can import into the system for trucks and recommended maintenance schedules, it's also got the ability to, for example, the expected number of hours that maintenance tasks should perform and that certain tasks should take to be performed, so that you've got the ability later on to report how efficient are you actually performing maintenance compared to what industry standards are the ability to look at reports and say, we're spending more money on average than what other companies or industry are spending on a certain type of part or parts or labor. It's taking our technicians longer to perform work than it is according to the industry standard. Other tools and features that we have available specific to fleet maintenance. And I mentioned that I've mentioned the integration to databases for standard procedures and expected work times for maintenance, and the ability to track work performed by outside service providers. We also have the ability to do maintenance as a service. So, and very common in the fleet world. Even companies that manage their own fleets will often be performing work on behalf of other companies. So we have the ability to invoice work performed for third parties. You can do an invoice per work order. You can summarize like a corporate invoice for a week or for a month. You can invoice based on industry standard, or you can invoice based on the amount of time it actually took for your technicians to do work. So you can put in standard pricing, for example. And then we've got a customer portal that allows customers to see their assets and see their maintenance histories and see the type of work that's being performed on their assets. And then also, obviously, reporting and key performance indicators are very important. Tools that you should demand if you're maintaining a fleet are the ability to have reporting and dashboards for your fleet. In our software, that comes standard. So we have Power BI dashboards that are pre-built. The data sets are pre-built. That gives you the ability, you can see here, the ability to look at your maintenance costs. How much of your costs are coming from preventative maintenance versus corrective work orders. So you want to look at the end of a period, how much was did a truck break down, and how much did it cost to repair that truck when it broke down versus how much we spend on our planned maintenance. And obviously there should be an optimal sort of percentage ultimately, where you're being proactive enough and efficient enough with your preventative maintenance that you're preventing those breakdowns from happening whenever possible. Obviously, accidents can never be completely prevented. But you can also look, it allows you to see, which assets might be problem assets. You can look at the cost to maintain your entire fleet, the different types of trucks and trailers that you have in a fleet. And often it's just, it can be specific vehicles that are just problem vehicles. And for whatever reason, maybe they were poorly manufactured. It's a truck that is just consistently more expensive to maintain, and it can allow you to make a decision potentially to dispose of a specific type of truck. And again, the reporting helps with a lot of other things. It can look at your backlog, your maintenance backlog. If maybe you're understaffed and trucks are being held up, not being maintained quickly enough. You can see all different types of data, the different types of breakdowns that occur. And really these dashboards, we provide those data sets, and building dashboards like this it's very easy for our end users to do on their own. So they've got specifically like to look at their costs. They can do that. Could be by different regions, different, again, different delivery types, different truck types, things of that nature. And then again, the system is not just designed for maintaining the truck fleet. So it can also be used to maintain your facilities. If you're a distribution company or a manufacturing distribution company, the maintenance system is designed also for facility and plant maintenance. So, doing upkeep on service facilities, distribution facilities, manufacturing facilities, things of that nature. So that is, at a high level, that's everything I had planned to cover. Gabriel, if we've got any questions, I'm happy to take them. I know we've got a pretty large audience and people might be shy, but if they want to ask questions, maybe I haven't conveyed perfectly who we are.
Cool. Yeah, Doyle. Actually, we have a good question now from one of our attendees. So, and the question is, does the system has the capability to digitally cross-reference audit an inspection done by a driver to validate if what was listed inaccurate?
Okay, so cross-reference documentation with, can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. It is. Does the system has the capability to digitally cross-reference audit an inspection done by a driver to validate if what was listed inaccurate?
Okay, so yes, that's a very good question. So the audit documentation can also be maintained with our forms functionality. So our forms functionality is very flexible. There's a wizard that you can use to create forms, so it can be used to create audit documentation. It's the same technology we're using for the inspection forms. You can map all of that form information back into our system. So you can tie the audit of a particular asset or driver or anything back to an original inspection form and compare those results. That's something that it is, that's the purpose of our forms documentation. Doing those cross references, then there's mapping that has to be done at that point, and then reporting to be done on top of it to identify if the results validate or not. But it's pretty easy to do. Are there any more questions?
No, sir. Not until now. So if anybody has another question, you can ask through the Q&A tab. And
just to be a little bit more specific, our software is built on the Microsoft Business Central platform. That's the platform that our maintenance application is built on. So we're leveraging Microsoft technology. We get to take advantage of all the horizontal functionalities available on that platform, the security, the permissions, the workflows, the inventory functionality, the procurement functionality. We get to leverage all of that to make the system very powerful. We are also developing the system to run on the Microsoft F&O platform, and that's going to be released. The release date is probably sometime next year, but that's for companies using those platforms, our system is great because it's fully integrated. So it's fully integrated all the way down into, for example, the general ledger. But we also sell this system standalone. So we do sell it to companies that are not using a Microsoft ERP. We've got companies that SAP or other types of ERPs, and we then integrate to those ERPs when we need to.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay, we have another question.
Okay.
Doyle, do you offer a pilot option?
We do actually. So there's a couple of different ways that we will do it. We've got our own sandbox environments that will extend out to somebody that wants to just trial the software. And then sometimes companies that are further down the path of making a decision will set them up with their own environment using a Microsoft Business Central trial environment. We'll install tag for them, set up real users, and help them import real data. In those cases, we'll do like a 30-day free trial, but also the system is on a subscription basis, so there's no commitment. Once you're beyond a 30-day free trial, you're only paying a monthly subscription, and if you're trialing, you're not buying a lot of users. So the monthly cost is really not very significant. and you can cancel at any time, so you're not really losing much in that case. But yes, you can pilot the software, absolutely pilot the software. We're doing that with a lot of companies all the time, and it's a great opportunity for us sometimes to actually do some workshops during that time and do a little bit of training. And in some cases, if somebody's actually going to end up using our software, we're actually starting a project in that case, because we're kind of helping them get organized to get their data together, and to start getting data loaded into the system. If they decide they want to move forward, some of the work is already done. So it's very easy to migrate data into these systems. It's all done through Excel. You can build your own templates. You select the table you want to load to and the fields that you're going to load, and it just automatically template for you. So obviously in the beginning, we're working with our customers to understand those templates, to get them populated, because often getting started is getting the data together. That's really often the biggest hurdle in terms of the time frame to implement. And once that data is together, then you can really start to move fast and roll out the system.
Thank you very much, Doyle.
Yep.
Okay, do we have any additional question from one of our attendees? Let's give a little chance to the people. Okay, Doyle, we have another question now. Compared with the built-in enterprise asset management functionality in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, what new features will this software introduce?
Yeah, that's a good question. The built-in functionality in F&O for asset maintenance was acquired by Microsoft a few years ago. They also do the same thing for Business Central. They're a competitor of ours. I don't want to talk about in the F&O world, the support available for that system hasn't been great. The feedback hasn't been great. There's some companies that use it successfully, but oftentimes we wouldn't move F&O if we didn't think there was an opportunity. And from our perspective, our software is more robust, has more functionality, and we believe we support our product more proactively and work more closely with our customers. We have a strong support team. We also work with partners like Optimus around the world that are trained on our software application, providing support, helping implement it. And again, I think from a technology perspective, we're doing a lot more than what the out-of-the-box Microsoft functionality does. We've really gotten into IoT. We've added a lot of other advanced features. We've got advanced scheduling algorithms. The mobility, we've got different options for mobility. We've got a web application that works on tablets and phones for not only technicians, but for managers. That's got the kind of dispatch tools, drag and drop tools, kind of just really cool stuff that's not available in the standard Microsoft functionality. But then we've got also a mobile app. So it's not the Microsoft mobile app, it's the one that we've built specifically for doing maintenance and for technicians. And that's the mobile app that's easy to use, but it's also works offline. It's got the offline capability, which is critical in many industries. I mean, it's not, you think the world is covered by the internet, but it's really not. Even in the United States, in the oil and gas industry, for example, in West Texas and Oklahoma and places like that, people are often offline. We're working with a company that is going to space and will be using our software on a space station. They don't have internet on the space station all of the time. So we think we're adding value. And so we thought about that very carefully, and we do see the opportunity to move to the F&O platform. It offers a bigger market for us. So we've already started pursuing that.
Thank you, Doyle.
I see some other questions. Yeah, GPS tracking. Yes, we do. So we've got the integration to the geolocation. You can get visuals and you can see areas and and we do that. Is your system hardwired or connected? So yeah, so typically and I hope I understand this question correctly, but if when we're working with onboard systems, most of the time we're using web services integrating to some cloud service that is associated with those systems. So that's what we most commonly encounter. Alternatively, we would put potentially a device locally on board to communicate with that information and then bring that back into Azure, which then integrates into our system. So our system is integrated with the Azure IoT Lab, which allows us to deploy sort of sensors in different places and collect data and bring that back into TAG. But typically for fleet, we're integrating a cloud system that's integrated to onboard systems. I hope I answered that question correctly.
Okay, we don't have any further questions now.
Yeah, and feel free, obviously, email questions, and I can, if I don't know the answer, I can forward them to more intelligent people that know all of the answers for anybody that's got more questions or might be interested.